So, you are done capturing those amazing shots for that your very first amazing music video. And the next stage is editing, and this can seem very daunting or a daunting task for you. If you find yourself in that shoe, don't worry, because in this video, I am going to teach you how to edit a music video right from the beginning to the end. Sit back, relax, brace yourself for action, because this is going to be a very long yet a very detailed video. So, without much ado, let's figure this out. So, right off the bat, let's get to Adobe Premiere Pro and I will show you how to edit a music video right from the beginning till the end. But before we jump into Adobe Premiere Pro, guys, if you're new to this channel, we talk about photography, videography, editing, and all its related branches. If this sounds interesting and you want to know more about this, please kindly do click on the subscribe button, hit on the notification icon so that you get notified anytime we drop awesome content like this right here from the middle of Africa. So, I've opened Adobe Premiere Pro right here, so as we do it, we go ahead, let's create a new project. And for music videos, I've already gone ahead to kind of organize all my folders or organize all my files in folders. So what I do is, the first stage is to sync the files before I move to the next stage of starting the very first cuts. Now, I divide it into B-rolls and performance scenes. So the main focus for this video is going to equip you on how to get started just by editing your performance scenes. Trust me, once you master the art of cutting your performance scenes, then adding in your B-rolls will just come naturally. Now, if you don't know what B-rolls are those other extra things that happen that you add them to spice up the whole story. For example, as I'm talking about Adobe Premiere Pro, if I'm showing Adobe Premiere Pro as I'm talking, Adobe Premiere Pro, the interface could be the B-roll in this regard. Or let's say I'm talking about how someone is walking and you see someone walking, that is actually a B-roll. In the case of music video like this, we can have the main performance going and probably have a lot of B-rolls either in slow motion or have other things happening which have relevance or explain something about the song. So let's start with being able to sync our files and work with our performance scenes. So right off the bat, let's name the project. How are we going to call this? So probably let me say try edits. Okay, so where do we want to save it? I click on browse. Right off the bat, I go to my drive D. Like I said, I want to keep everything very organized. I have a folder called music video. So I go there and I have a project called, or I have a folder called project. I select that. Then already I've named the file here and I'll just go ahead and click OK. Now I have a detailed tutorial on Adobe Premiere Pro, so that's why I haven't explained a lot of things, just creating the project. And if you're new to Adobe Premiere Pro, then kindly pause this video, make sure to watch my other video which explains details or which goes into details on the various nitty-gritties of Adobe Premiere Pro. You can click here to watch that particular video. Watch it and come back here and continue with this one. But if you already have the basics of Adobe Premiere Pro, kudos to you. Let's continue. So right off the bat, let's import our files. So we go ahead and I open my music video folder, and I already have, like I said, I've already kind of gone ahead to organize all of this thing into folders. So I already have here performance, and so let's import the whole folder. So this folder contains all the performance scenes that we are going to be syncing or we are going to be working with. So you wait for it to just load, and once it's done loading, we'll now go ahead to load all of these files onto the timeline. So once it's done loading, what we can quickly do is to open that folder and go ahead. Now, these are all the performance scenes that I have in there. So let me drop the first one on the timeline, or I can create a sequence out of that. So we have our first video here. And so what I like to do is that now let's bring in the song for the video itself. This is the song. I had the person send it to me through WhatsApp or via WhatsApp. So let me add this to the timeline. And now we are going to sync this particular video to the audio. And so I have another video on this channel where I talk about how to sync this automatically. So if I just click this and the video and right click, I can just say synchronize and make sure its audio is selected. Then I say okay and wait for it, and voila, it has been synchronized. Let's play this through.
And action. Yeah. Lengua.
Yeah, so that is it. Basically, the first one has been successfully synced. So what I like to do here is, once it's synced, I'll pull here to make sure it lines up to the audio. Then after this, I go ahead to delete the audio file, then now bring in another video to sync again. So let's do that. Now let's select this audio, delete it, select this first one and move it up. So let's go ahead, let's bring in the next performance scene. So it's the same location. This is a close-up and this is a medium close-up and this is a little bit of a full shot. So let's bring in the full shot and make sure the audio goes to the next line. We can alt click this and move it down. And again, we can select the audio with this audio file of the second video. Make sure we select the two files, right click on them and say synchronize. And now make sure the audio is selected, say okay, and wait for it. It will sync the two files, and when it's done, again, you truncate the beginning part so that you make sure that all of them align very well. Then when you are done, you select the other audio file and you delete it. So let's wait for it to load. Now it's done. Let's play it through just to be sure that it's actually synced. Yeah, so that is successfully synced. So what do we do? Let's go to the beginning and make sure that it aligns very well. Then we select this audio and delete that as well. Now let's go to the next one. Let's keep adding more. Let's scroll down here, come to the next one, drag it onto the timeline, and make sure that we select that particular audio file with this video with the original song that we have added onto the timeline. Again, right click and go to synchronize. Make sure the audio is selected and click OK and wait for it to sync. Again, the same process. When it's done, we select the other audio that is here. We select this and we delete it, leaving only the original audio. As you can see, this one started very late. So as you can see, it's also successfully synced. So let's go ahead to right click on this or alt click it and click on delete to get rid of it. So that has also been successfully synced and is also on the timeline. Now let's go through. I also have other ones here. These are green screen performances, or these are green screen shots that were also shot. These are also performances. So we can add those ones to the timeline. So for the purpose of this video and not to make it too long, I will just speed up this process and come back and show you the final product of this synced project. Okay, so that is our synced sequence. Everything is already synced. As you can see, if I play through. All right, so now that everything is synced, let's go to the next stage. Now, the next stage, what I like to do is that, as you can see, both these green screens are the same location, and this is a scene, or this is shot behind the subject, and the other one is supposed to be in front of the subject. So what I like to do here is to color code all of the layers based on where which video was shot. For example, these two layers all belong to the same location. So I'm going to color code this, probably, let's say yellow. I select yellow. If I shut the eye off, select this one. Sorry, right click on this, go to label, select yellow. And so that means that anytime I see a yellow video on the timeline, I know that it belongs to this particular location, or probably that means that it is a green screen shot. So let me move down to the next layer. So once I'm done naming that, let me turn off the eye for that one. Now, this is the next one. And I know that for the next three layers, they also all belong to one particular location. So let me right click on this and I go to label and probably let's give it a green color. So now I know that anytime I see a green color on the timeline, that means that it's a particular location or it belongs to another particular location. So the next video, like I said, this is a close-up, this is a long shot. So let's go ahead to give it green because it's the same location. When we are done, shut off the eye, move to the next layer. And of course, that is also still the same location. And this is also a medium close-up, straight on to the subject. So let's right click on it and make this also green. Okay, so now that this is a music video, we are not really dealing so much with audio, so we can actually do this to make more space. Mostly the audio is irrelevant for me at this point, so that is what I do. And probably let's eliminate this space here so that everything can get to start at the beginning. Now, the next stage is to make sure that you are able to decipher which parts of the beat you want to cut on. This is important because when you cut on the beat, the video tends to sound, or it tends to look very natural. So in that sense, I'm now going to go through the song and leave marks at certain points of the beat so that I can cut along, or I can cut the music to those beats. Now, one thing is that you don't have to overdo this, because once your viewer tends to notice that pattern very well, they begin to expect the cut to happen at that particular point of the song. Hence, I'm going to create those marks, but I'm not going to follow them religiously throughout the whole video. If this sounds confusing, stick with me as we go through, because trust me, you would understand this. So the mark key in Adobe Premiere Pro is M. When you press M, you can actually leave a mark. So let's play through the song and decide on which kicks in the beat that we want to cut our video along. Let's play and see.
Yeah!
Okay, I can hear pum. At every point in time there is this pum. So I'm going to leave every mark at probably every 2 pum sound in the video. So let's try that. So we are going to use the M key on the keyboard to leave those marks. Let's begin.
Yeah! Lamba! Cancel! Metwari kambanye Wanukoli wanaja kakuna kama kisha baba kanye Akata barazaga barna makasa wala menjije Asiboya di media morgana mendide Achuku banye manakini nyange Abada kari na yetin yinsibe na nyipia barla yetin pori nyange Lele bele magwe keme koso Yaman muta hala wata sabta Jagu wara suka anyesi mubo Ekusa nyutila badamta Matarfika banye menyefuba nuobo Wande bede.
So as you can see, you just decide on a particular pattern in the beat that you want to cut to. You can decide, probably it could be a kick or something. Now, just so that this video doesn't become a 1-hour video, I'll just speed through the process and let you see how it finally looks like. So once we have all of these things done, the next stage is to now go through and start cutting. Now, before I even start cutting, you need to be very disciplined. One of the things that make a music video very interesting is that you must let your viewers discover along the line. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't show them the best scenes, or you don't show them everything at a go and make sure that everything becomes very repetitive. So at every point in time, you make sure that they are discovering something new. So what I personally do is that I need to now decide which of these parts will be showing at what point. And so I decide to be very disciplined by cutting off all the other areas from that side so that it forces me to focus on just those particular layers. What do I mean? Now here, for example, maybe once the video starts, I want to rely on these yellow layers till this part of the song. So once I've decided that I'll be cutting between the scenes in this particular yellow layers, then I can quickly make a cut and make sure that I'm not leaving anything green closer to this particular area, so that I'm not tempted to go back and cut anything that has to do with the green layer. Now, this is a very good way of putting yourself in trouble, like putting yourself in front of the wall line whilst you are not even prepared. That way, it forces you to survive. And trust me, you'll be surprised by forcing yourself to stick to certain amount of layers or sticking to a particular location. You do everything in your power to make sure that that particular place works. And so let's select all these particular layers and drag them over here, because all of these areas we want to stick with the yellow layers. So that means that once we start, we'll be cutting just the yellow layers. Now for the next part of the video, from here till the end, I want to stick with the green layers. I'll be editing just the green layers. So what I do here is I make sure that I take it to this part and probably make cuts here and select the 2 yellow layers and make sure I get rid of them. so that over here too, I know that I've locked myself to just the green layers. And so I'm forced to make the green layers work, whether it can work or not. And that is the mark of a good editor, guys. So now let's go through. Now that we have all of this, we can turn all the eyes on and make sure that we can now start to cut. So now that we are ready, let's go ahead and make some cuts. So now let's play through. Let's make sure the first layer, the eye is on. So let me see what happens there. Then after that, I shut the eye off and take a look at the layer below. Then I'll now make a decision on which one I want to show. Let's play through.
Yeah! Lamba!
Okay, so of course, in the beginning of this video, I know that I'll be using B-rolls throughout this whole time. He's not going to be singing. Once for now, we are concentrating on making the cuts. So what I will do is that I already know that no matter what, I'm not going to be using this layer. So I can quickly cut, select that particular side and make do or make away with it. So let's play through and see.
Yeah! Lamba! Cancel!
Okay, so let's make cuts on the lines. Let's go ahead, make another cut here, make another cut here. All right, so probably I want this part to show. Let me drag this back. But in the next one, I want it to show his face, saying that line. Okay, so at this point, you realize that where I actually want to cut is not up to here, or it hasn't reached the beat. So now that is where I talk about trying to cheat the intelligence of your audience just a little. So at this point, I'm going to end it here. All right, let it come back a little. Let's see. Maybe I don't even want this one again to end, so I could end it here and pull this one a little bit this way. And so let's go back and play through.
Yeah! Lamba! Cancel! Coach!
Okay, so as you can see, we've actually now entered the green layer. So now what I can do is I can quickly go ahead, make all the incisions, make all the necessary cuts on this, all the 3 layers. Make sure I make cuts here. All right, it is not necessary for you to go through and make the cuts first, but sometimes I feel like just makes your work very fast. Okay, so I figured out that the camera is shaking too much, so let me shut off the eye and see what happens in the layer below. All right, right away, I want to maintain that particular layer, so I can quickly delete this. So let's see from the yellow layers as we move to that particular green layers. Okay, so in this case, this camera is still shaking too much, so I'll still maintain that same layer. Knowing very well that once we are done with the whole edits, we are going to come back through and fill in the gaps or put our B-rolls. Probably as he's holding it, there's a point where he's riding the horse. I'm going to put that in as a B-roll around this area. And as you can see, the beginning is so boring because he was virtually not even singing at all. But for the purpose of this video, I just want you to get an idea of how the cutting or how the cuttings are done. Other than that, this is not by any way going to make it into our final cut. I'm going to come back and delete all of this, or at least override those parts with B-rolls, probably of him running, or maybe probably trying to get on the horse, or probably maybe trying to chase someone. Just stick with a B-roll or something that already has been shot. Okay, so as you can see, this new layer is the camera is kind of trying to settle. So at the same time, I'm not going to stop it. So let me delete this, come back here. Okay. All right, and as you can see, I can see that someone appeared over here, but like I said, for the purposes of this video, okay, maybe it's too long. I can. Okay, so for the next sound, okay, so this is how it works now. This next trick can help you if you don't have a very fast system. Now, once I've decided to go with the layer which is on top, what I do is I go through and delete all the layers which are beneath. This takes a lot of pressure off your CPU and your RAM and your GPU as well. And so you get very smooth playbacks. Now, don't worry about this if you have a very gigantic machine with so much power. But for the purpose of this video and because of the kind of laptop I'm using to do this, I'll go through and delete all the layers which are beneath because I know that those are irrelevant layers and I don't need them in that particular regard, so that you always have just this kind of climbing ladder, or let me say staircase, always available within your timeline. So let's go back to the beginning and play and see already the kind of cuts that we've made.
Yeah, Lamba. Calzo. For me, you coach. Me try to come by. Quando colho na jakuna kama kisha baba kanye. Akata barzaga barna makasa wala munjije. Asa boy ya de media morgana mandede. Achoka gbanye manakini nyanga. Abuda kari na yetin sebe na nyipia barla yetin pori nyanga. Elebele magwe kame koso. Yaman muta hala wata sabta. Yakbu wala suka anyesimubo. Ekusa nyutila badamta.
So you kind of get the idea of where this whole thing is going. So let's suppose that we've gone through, we've done this for the whole timeline. Now the next stage is to now come in and add your B-rolls. Now, like I said, the B-rolls are all the interesting things that happens within the music videos. For example, I've shot a lot of things which are in 60 frames so that I can slow them down and add them in as B-rolls. Now, let me import the B-roll shots and we start adding them to the music video. So let me go back and double click here to import. So let me go to music video and I'll just go through here. These are not really organized, but I know what I want. Let me go to the card one. And you see this guy trying to shoot an arrow, and that is all supposed to be for the beginning part of the video. We have the horse here. Let me just select a few just to demonstrate to you how, what I mean. So we get a shot of him, we get a shot of the legs, we get a shot of the horse, we have a shot of this, then maybe let's import that and see how we'll be able to cut all of these things together. So we wait for it to import in, and so once it gets in, like I said, these are B-rolls and I shot all of them in 60 frames per second. So the first thing I'll do is to right click on all of them and conform them into the frame rate size of this particular sequence, which is 24 frames. So once it's done, I'm going to right click on this. Remember, all of those files are already selected. So I'll go to modify and come to interpret footage, and when we open, you realize that all of them are shot in 60 frames. As you can see, is 59.9401, which can be run up to 60, so that is 60 frames. So meanwhile, we want them to play back as slow motion, so let's convert it to 24 frames. So we are simply saying that all the footage that we've brought in should be played back in 24 speed. So we've selected 24, then we click on OK. Then now what's going to happen is that all these things we've brought in, all of them are now going to play in slow motion format. Let's have a look. Yeah, so as you can see, it's playing very slow. They are now slow motion, they are shot in slow motion. Let me press the Atlas key. That's how it looks like. So when we keep playing through, you realize that all of them are now slow motion. So look at this, all of these are slow motions. All right, so what I'm going to do is that, like I said, when we play in the beginning, we realize that these are all very loud.
Lamba.
So what I want to do is to add some of these very interesting shots to the beginning. So for example, let's start by seeing the legs of the person, then later on we see the faces of the people involved. So let's start with this. So let's click on I to leave an in point. then maybe here. We can cut it from here, click on O, then we drag this onto the timeline. So this is going to be the first image that we see on the timeline. Let's scroll up a little.
Yeah!
Okay, so I still want to continue with the B-rolls. So right after seeing the legs, we need to see who is that person, or probably we can cut to this horse before we come back. So probably we can do this, create eye. I'm not comfortable because the camera is not moving, but for the purpose of this video, let's just add it. And after that, let's see the people involved. So let's create eye, make sure the camera is stable, eye on the keyboard, there may be O at the end. All right, so we see who are those involved. All right, so right after that, probably I still want the B-rolls to continue because this side, I'm not still very happy with how he responds.
Coach,
okay, I actually want the video to start from here, this particular line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep filling in all these areas with more B-rolls. So what can I add more? All right, okay, so this guy is about to shoot. So probably we can have a shot of the arrow moving up. All right, okay, so we can add that onto the timeline. And maybe once the arrow has moved up, let's see his face. Yeah, so something like that. All right, or probably we can decide to go with a close-up. So let's look for a close-up here. So like that. Okay, so we can go. All right, let's go back a little. All right, so let's add that in as well. And as you can see, it's gone beyond where I actually wanted to start, but that's no problem. I can still live with that. So let's go back again. Let me press the artillery key to open this up. Let's see.
Yeah! Lamba! Ah, cancel! For me, coach! Me try to come by. Quando colho na kapuna kama kisha baba kanye. Akata barazaga barna makasa wala menjije. Asa boy ya de media morgana mandede. Achoku banye mane.
So like we discussed earlier, this part is very long because remember, we needed certain things to cover there. Meanwhile, all the performance scenes weren't really that good. So let's cover that side up with some B-roll. So let's look for probably a shot of the horse like this. Maybe we'll start from here, work our way up. Yeah, so select that, put it at the top layer. All right. And maybe I'm thinking with the other horse, we can replace it with a shot like this. Guys, that is what editing is all about. Sometimes you have to go through over and over again just to get the kind of shot that you want, because I'm not comfortable because there is no movement in this shot. So probably what I'll do is I'll just delete, take that off, bring in a close-up of the horse instead of that kind of a shot or instead of that long shot. So now let's see how far we have come. Save. And guys, always remember to press Ctrl S because you are working in Adobe Premiere Pro. And trust me, if you don't save constantly when you're working in Adobe Premiere Pro, you might regret it. So let's play through and see so far what we've been able to do.
Yeah! Lamba! Ah, cancel! For me, coach! Me try to come by. Quando colho na kapuna kama kisha baba kanye. Akata barazaga barna makasa wala menjije. Asa boy ya de media morgana mandede. Achoku banye manakini nyanga. Abada kari na yetin sebe na nyipia barla yetin pori nyanga. Ele de bele magwe kame koso. Yaman muta hala wata sabta. Yakuwa suka anyese mubo. Ekusa nyutila badamta.
So you kind of get the idea of where this whole thing is going. So that is basically how I go about editing all my music videos. So a quick recap of the whole thing is, we import all our performance files, we sync all the performance files, then we leave marks on the audio as to where we want to make our cuts. Then we go through, make all our cuts, then we now start to edit, make choices on which parts we want to appear. When we are done with that, we now go through the B-roll process of adding all the B-rolls. Now, once we are done with this, I'll go through over and over again till I'm satisfied. When I'm done with this, I can now go ahead to add my text onto the video. Then now go ahead to put a little bit of color grades on the footage before I export. Let me just show you a glimpse of the final video as I went through over and over again, because all of these edits you are seeing have taken another 10 altogether.
Yeah, cancel. For me, you day. Coach, me try to campagne. Quando colo na kapuna kama kisha baba kanye. Akata barazaka barna makasa wala menjije.
Pretty amazing, right? And all the crowd scenes you saw there were just few people are used to duplicate by using a green screen effect. Now, if you want me to make another separate video on this channel talking about all the VFX and how I created those crowd effects and the mountains in the background and the guy walking up the cliff and all that, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll make a follow-up video detailing exactly the VFX process and how I managed to create all those effects in that music video. So basically, that is my workflow, or that is how I go about working on music videos. If I have extra effects to deal with, I just right click on them, take them to After Effects and work on them. But like I said, the goal of this video is to keep it simple, just to make sure that I equip you with these techniques so that you'll be able to put together your very first music video. And if you manage to put together your first music video, guys, you can tag me on Instagram at OBL_Junior, or if you have any further questions, you can DM me on Instagram at OBL_Junior, or you can leave them in the comment section below and I will gladly respond to every single one of your messages. If you're new here, guys, we talk about photography, videography, and all its related branches, including editing. And as always, guys, until next time, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out.